Hi there, Perfecto de Castro here and welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're having a great day. This is part 2 of my music theory for guitarists series. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 1.5 yet, please click on the cards above to go watch those videos first before continuing with this one. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so that you'll know whenever I upload a new video. So part 2 is all about key signatures or musical keys. Now the best way to think of musical keys is it's like a home base for different songs and different pieces of music. I also think of musical keys as musical families, and each musical key has a set of family members that work within that key. So let's dive right in. I am still going at this old school with the pen and my notebook right here, so feel free to get your own and follow along. Now to spell out the notes in each musical key, we are going to take the major scale formula that I showed you in part 1 and we're going to apply it to the different notes. Major scale formula is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 and half. Okay, and we've already applied it to C major, so we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. Now let's start with our sharp keys. I'm going to take the 5th note of the C major scale, so in this case C, D, E, F, G, and I'm going to write down the note sequence starting on that note. So now that I've written the note sequence starting on G, let's compare it with the major scale formula. So G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is half. We're good so far. C to D is another whole, D to E is also whole, E to F is a half step. So now we're going to have to tweak the F note so that we get a whole step from E. And the way to do that is to raise it up by a half step, which means sharp it. Okay, so now E to F sharp is a whole step, and that also takes care of the next requirement, which is a half step. F sharp to G is now a half step. Now let's spell out the next key. Take the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D, and we're going to write all the notes that we have so far starting on the D note. So D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and back to D. Now compare it against our formula. So D to E is whole, E to F sharp is whole, F sharp to G is half, G to A is whole, A to B is whole, B to C is a half step. We need a whole step. So again, we're going to have to sharp the C. So we now have a C sharp and also a whole step between B and C sharp, and now there's a half step between C and D. So now that I've shown you the process, I want you to complete the rest of the keys. Okay, so take the 5th note, line it all up, and then sharpen the necessary notes so that you fulfill the requirements of the major scale formula. You can pause the video at this point so that you can write it all down while I go into time-lapse mode. Check your work after you're done. Okay, here are all the sharp keys. Check your work against it and make sure everything is correct. Now since we have sharp keys, of course we have flat keys as well. For the flat keys, we are going to start on the 4th note of the previous scale. So in this case, from C, we'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, F, lay everything out starting on the F note. Now let's compare it against the major scale formula. So F to G is whole, G to A is whole, A to B is a whole step, but we need a half step. So this is where we start tweaking the note. So in this case, we need to bring B closer to A, so we're going to flat it. Okay. So now A to B flat is a half step, and that takes care of the next requirements. B flat to C is a whole step, C to D is whole, D to E is whole, E to F is half step. Now I'm gonna spell out another key. So take the fourth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, B flat. Okay. Lay out all the notes we have so far: B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat. Compare it against the formula. B flat to C is whole, C to D is whole, D to E is whole. We need a half, so we need to tweak that. Flat the E. Now E flat to F is a whole, F to G is whole step, G to A is whole step, A to B flat is a half step. So again, pause this video, fill out the rest of it while I go into time lapse. Okay, so here are all the notes of the flat keys. Check your work, make sure it's correct. So going through that whole process, that will clear up how the circle of fifths work, because the circle of fifths is a reference so that you can quickly find out how many sharps or flats a particular key has. We draw a circle. At the top of the circle is C, right? And clockwise is the sharp keys, and we go 5 notes at a time. So C, fifth note is G, from G, fifth note is D, from D, fifth note is A, from A, fifth note is E, from E, the fifth note is B, then fifth of B is F sharp, and the fifth of F sharp is C sharp. And as you move along, G has 1 sharp, D has 2 sharps, A has 3, E has 4, B has 5, F sharp has 6, C sharp has 7. This is also known as the circle of fourths because to get the flat keys, we move every 4th note. Okay, so from C, the 4th note is F, 4th note of F is B flat, and then from B flat is E flat, from E flat is A flat, from A flat is D flat, and from D flat is G flat. And finally, from G flat, we have C flat. This is kind of like just a mirror image of the sharp keys. So this has 1 flat, 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, 7 flats. And since we've gone through the whole process earlier, you exactly know which notes to sharp or flat for each key. Now, to apply the key signatures to our fretboard notes, it's actually quite easy because instead of thinking of 7 completely different notes whenever we play in a different key, since we've already mapped out and know by heart where the C major notes are on the fretboard, then we only have to worry about which notes to change to put us in a particular key. Let's say we are going from C major, no sharps, no flats, and we need to play in G major, right? Which has 1 sharp, the F sharp. So instead of thinking about G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G as the new key, I only have to think of sharping all the F notes in this grid, and I will be in G major. Same goes if I go to a flat key. Let's say from C, and I need to play in B flat, and B flat major only has 2 flat notes, so I only have to worry about flatting the B notes, all the B notes, play it flat, and the E notes, play it flat. All the rest will stay the same. It's a lot easier to handle. At this point, you're probably thinking, well, now I know how to find the notes of all the major keys. what about minor keys? So to end this video, I am going to discuss relative major and minor keys. So relative major and minor keys are two different keys that share the same set of notes. And the related major and minor keys are only 3 half steps apart. So from a major key, you go down 3 half steps. And from a minor key, you go the opposite direction. Go up 3 half steps to find the relative major. We'll start with our C major scale again. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, and from the whole, half, whole, half. So from the C major root, we need to go down 3 half steps. So C to B is a half step, and then B to A is 2 half steps basically. So that's 2 plus 1 is 3. We get to the A note. So A is our relative minor of C major. So if we start the note series on A, we get the following notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and back to A. So this is your major, and this is your minor. And just for reference, so that you have the minor scale formula, let's write it out. So A to B is a whole step, B to C is a half, C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step again, E to F is half, F to G is whole, G to A is whole. Another way of looking at this is to think of the relative minor as the 6th degree of the major scale. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is your relative minor. Now let's go back to the major scale notes that we spelled out earlier and underline the 6 degrees of each major key. So C major, we've already established that A is the relative minor. Okay. So from G, relative minor is E, D, relative minor is B, A, relative minor is F sharp, E, relative minor is C sharp, B, relative minor is G sharp, F sharp, relative minor is D sharp, C sharp, relative minor is A sharp. So this whole row. Now let's do that with the flat keys as well. For F, relative minor is D, B flat, relative minor is G minor, E flat, relative minor is C, A flat, relative minor is F, D flat, relative minor is B flat, G flat, relative minor is E flat, and C flat, relative minor is A flat. Now to make our circle of fifths and fourths even handier, we can write down the relative minors of each key. Okay, so outside is major and inside will be minor. Relative minor of C is A minor, G is E minor, D is B minor, D minor, G minor, C minor. And as you can see, clockwise, the minor keys also proceed in fifths, and counterclockwise, they proceed in fourths. And you can also apply the same procedure when transforming our fretboard notes into the minor keys, just like we did earlier with the major keys. So let's say all of this, you can start thinking of this as C major or A minor notes, right? And to play in B minor, which is the relative of D major, and D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. All we need to do is sharp all the Fs and all the Cs in this fretboard grid, and you will be playing in B minor. So this concludes part 2 of the Music Theory for Guitarists series. I hope this video about musical keys and key signatures have cleared some things up for you. In the upcoming videos in this series, I'll be talking about intervals, chord building, and modes. If you'd like to help me out and support this channel, please consider buying your own Practice Makes Perfecto t-shirt. Links are in the description box below. Let me know what you think in the comments box below. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I will see you again very soon. In the meantime, peace, love, guitars, good heaven and stuff. Cheers.